You guys are all doing well. So if you're looking for a new CPU for your gaming slash productivity machine and you have a budget about under $350, well, you're probably debating between whether to get the Intel 7700K or the new AMD Ryzen 7 1700. And here in this video, we're going to determine which processor comes out on top, all things considered. Now, in terms of times and productivity performance, I rendered out a 40-second 4K files for web distribution, and the 7700K took about 8 seconds a longer total time of about 1 minute 16 seconds to render out that file versus 1 minute 8 seconds on the Ryzen 7 1700. So a pretty big difference over there. So if you're going to be doing a little bit of rendering, video editing, certainly the AMD has the edge up over here. Now, there may be some software that you use that might not fully utilize all the cores and threads that the 1700 has to offer. Certainly Geekbench over here is a good benchmark that demonstrates this results. Although we're getting faster multi-core performance, it's not really that dramatically faster than the 7700K. And certainly when it comes to the single-threaded performance, as we mentioned before, since those cores are going to be running at faster clock speeds, and certainly when you overclock it, you are going to get faster single-threaded performance. And that's why some games will probably favor the Intel platform at this stage of the game. Now, that being said, if you do have games that will utilize more cores and more threads, you are going to get faster gaming performance coincide with your GPU performance. So looking at 3D Mark Time Spy using our GTX 1080, we get a slightly faster overall score, just around 7,040 points versus 6,822 on the 7700K. So the AMD is faster in this example, but if you start taking a look at more conventional games in a more real world circumstance, at 1080p Battlefield 1, we get higher average FPS scores on our Intel platform, 133 frames per second versus 129 frames per second. Same thing with Rise of the Tomb Raider, pretty huge difference actually over here, 126 average frames per second and 103 average frames per second on our 1700. Far Cry Primal, same thing over here, faster overall average frames per second using the Intel chip compared to the 1700. So if you do want a little bit extra frames per second, you probably want to consider the 7700K because it's still faster when it comes to the single-threaded performance, which still a lot of games will favor compared to more cores and more threads. So generally speaking, both chips are quite fantastic. Technically speaking, the 1700 Ryzen 7 is probably the best bang for the dollar 8-core slash CPU that's around the $350 mark or $330 mark in this case. So I would definitely, if it was up to me, building a system, there's really no contest over here, even though the single thread performance is better on the 7700K for long-term use and for the things that I do, I would probably stick with the Ryzen 7. Now, if you do want a little bit more overclocking headroom, the 1700X is a great option. You're looking at 95 watts TDP